Good morning and welcome to Crack the Mic podcast with Agent of Change Corey Davis. And this week's segment is entitled Relationships, Singles Edition Part 2. If love is never enough to sustain a healthy relationship, then the question becomes, how does one navigate through the dating scene today? Dealing with loneliness, identifying red flags early on, setting healthy boundaries, balancing self-care with dating and navigating online dating platforms, understanding your own needs and values in a partner, how to build a meaningful connection, when to transition from casual dating to something more serious, and the importance of communication in early stages of dating. And to help me further this discussion, I have a very interesting panel that includes Juliet Matthias. She is a triple threat archery performer, composer, filmmaker, multimedia artist, and she's also a neurodiagnostic specialist. And last but certainly not least, we have Rebecca Butterfly Voss, who's also had the privilege of serenading such celebrities as Charlie Wilson, Nikki Giovanni, and the list goes on. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. Good morning. All right. Without further ado, let's delve into this conversation, if we may. And before I ask the first question, I like to preference it with this article because I argue that love is neutral and it's neither good nor bad. It just depends on who you're loving and how you're being loved. But in an article written by Mark Mance entitled, Love is Never Enough, he draws a contrast between a song written in 1967 by John Lennon titled, All You Need Is Love. Yet, according to Manson, Lennon abused both of his wives and abandoned his children, whereas 35 years later, Trent Reznor from the Nine Inch Nails wrote a song called Love Is Not Enough. Yet, he got clean from drugs and alcohol and married one woman and had 2 children with her and canceled his entire tour so that he could go home and be with his family. So, let me just ask this first question. If love is not enough to sustain a healthy relationship, then what is and why?
Well, the fact that love, I dig deeper into everything. So love in itself is leaning over on vulnerable emotions. So that's my acronym for love.
Powerful.
And with that, the reason why I can see both artists at different intervals of times and years having a song by that title is because that's just it. Every day you get 24 hours.
All right.
And it's, people ask persons in relationships for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, what's the secret? And there is no secret. It's just a matter of each individual choosing each other every 24 hours.
Powerful. That's powerful.
Because, love is eventually going to fade.
Wow.
It's side note, sidebar. It's just as if, being an artist and having a particular talent or whatever. The passion of it is what keeps you.
Oh, wow.
Because the love, again, will fade. The liking of it will fade.
Absolutely.
But it's the passion that will keep you coming there. It's the voices of at least one person who loves what you do.
Wow.
Again, another sidebar. It's like a teacher that may say, you know what, I'm tired. I really don't want to go here anymore. But what makes her or him get up that next morning, put on their clothes, and go into those corridors of that particular school, whether it be elementary, middle school, high school, is that one student, that Johnny, that Bobby, that Christina, that Tori, that they're like, that's why I have to be there.
Powerful, powerful. You want to go ahead and share your sentiment on the question, Juliet?
Absolutely. I think when you asked, I kind of thought about the basics, just trust, respect, communication. I think that's so important, as well as love. And it starts with love. You have to have love, but it's just not just love, because you can't just love someone and then just do whatever, not
Absolutely.
abandon them, and then just expect that love to still be there. You have to water it, and the trust needs to be there, and that takes time. That takes time, and sometimes, you know, these things are not up to us, right?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I definitely welcome that. Now, I want to go ahead and change the tides for a moment, if I may. According to the National Singles Day, U.S. 46.4% of U.S. adults are single. Also, the U.S. Census Bureau reports that 117 million unmarried Americans. So I want to ask this here next question. What are your biggest challenges, Juliet, you face as a single person in today's dating landscape? What's your biggest challenge, honestly? Given these statistics, they're hot. Everybody's single.
It is, and
As always, I would say everyone. Don't want to be sweeping generalization.
I think with just the, I guess, social media and our ability now to interact with mobile phones. I know a lot of people choose to do online dating. I personally stay away from online dating. I want to have something organic.
Right.
And
Right.
but I can see the appeal, but I do feel it's a challenge, because there's it's just such a surface connection, and it's hard to get the depth without feeling like, okay, next there's somebody else. If you don't please me, there's somebody else.
Absolutely.
And that's such a challenge. And then you get ghosted, or other things that it's hard to then, like you were saying, talking about love and everything like that. I would move to look for love. So I would want to have trust and respect and communication. And I think with the availability, like being able to just have this online dating, it's a lot's lost there. Yeah.
Absolutely. And now I heard you say something, Julia, that I thought was very, very, very interesting. You said that in so many words that one of the challenges, it's because most folks are so eager to press play. Hey, you mess up. Hey, there's an infraction. We don't want to work on anything. It's press play. But the problem with that, Juliet, is this. So we're going to talk about the whole online dating thing a little bit later. But that is a huge problem. No one, and I want to go and just say, our parents of yesteryears, they're a bit more Teflon. They had thick skin. They didn't just run away. When a challenge presented itself, they were able to stand there and work things out. Now today, yeah, it's social media. You got every dating platform. It's actually got you log on social media. Singles, Christian Mabels pop up or whatever other dating platforms that are out there. But the reality of the situation is this: no one wants to sit and work things out. And why do you think that is? It's easier to They say the grass is greener on the other side, but hey, it's just green, or it's more green where you water it. I kind of look at it from that vantage point. Would you agree?
I do.
All right, you want to go ahead and share your thoughts on the question, and I'll restate the question for you. What are the biggest challenges you've faced as a single person in today's dating landscape?
Well, me personally, I have no challenges. I literally am going to be single until my day of death. Like literally, I'm not a dater, um, and I enjoy being by myself. I have learned I've never really had a relationship. I've never been somebody's girlfriend. I've always just had situations, and then we just went our separate ways type of vibe. But I also still realize too that I am better alone.
Right.
I just am. One, I get bored easily.
Right.
And then two, I I'm a come and go.
Okay.
So
Okay.
2, 3 o'clock in the morning, if I feel like I want to just get in the car and just take a drive, I don't want to have to deal with where you going and who is she or who is he, because now we stay in time. It is what it is. And I just love my freedom, because relationships take work. I'm sorry, it's a different type of job where you're not paid monetarily. You're paid more with understanding, commitment, dedication. That's what you're paid with. And I'm just not cut out for it. I'm just not relationship material. Not to say that in a bad way. I just know me, and it would never work.
Okay. And you know what? We're going to go ahead and take a commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to finish that discussion with Rebecca Biles.
Realized that I could use some help with basic everyday tasks, but Hal depends on me, and I'm not going to leave him. I don't have to. Yes, that was good news, wasn't it, Hal?
Immaculate Home Health Care can give you the help you need so you can stay safely and comfortably at home from a few hours a day to round the clock. Call today for your consultation. 561-372-9108. 561-372-9108.
All right. Welcome back. And so let's just get back into this discussion because I heard you say something, Rebecca. And I want to, because a lot of people, and you're not alone, because statistics according to the that I laid out earlier from the Census Bureau, they reported that 117 million people are thinking more along their lives than you're thinking. So, but I want to ask you this. Is that because there is a fear of commitment? Because you did say you do like to go and come as you please. And in any relationship, accountability is key.
Exactly.
So is it because you are afraid of commitment?
I'm not afraid of commitment at all. I mean, at the end of the day, nothing is guaranteed.
Ours.
Nothing is guaranteed.
Right, absolutely.
I can, rewind to Halle Berry and, not quote verbatim, but her saying that you don't want someone to complete you because if they leave, then they take half of you, and now you're left with half of yourself, and now you got to bring back to make yourself whole. She said you want someone to compliment you.
Powerful.
And that's true. And when you speak of complimenting, that means physical, that means, likes and interests, because in all honesty, side note, a lot of people think that cheating comes into place because of money and sex. No,
Right, absolutely.
cheating comes into place because of voids.
Wow. Powerful.
Because of voids. If you wanted to, if you've told your mate, this is what you like or this is what you don't like, and they keep doing what you don't like and you don't do what you like, eventually you go and seek it somewhere else. I always have said with any couple, if you sleep together, Come the next morning and you're getting ready for work, your first compliment should come from each other.
Wow.
Not your coworker.
Wow. That's
not the cashier at McDonald's.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You should be, oh, baby, that Tyler, nice. Oh, darling, I'm loving your hair this morning. Oh, and that dress is beautiful. You know, you shouldn't have to wear it's good morning, babe, hug and kiss, you leave. But like I said, you get into the office and, you know, Miss Johnson's like, oh,
Right. Right.
Corey, I like that green tie.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
and
Right.
then, you know, she gets to McDonald's and, you know, Tommy is taking her order and it's like, you smell kind of good.
Right.
And you look good in that dress. Oh, and I'm loving your hair. Because now you allot for, okay, it's 7 o'clock in the morning that she gets up.
Right.
She leaves out by 8.
Mm-hmm.
The cashier comes in from 7 to 8.
Wow. Wow.
She normally leaves out the house by 7:15, 7:20.
Mm.
But now she's leaving out of the house by 6:45.
Mm.
And that's because she's going to McDonald's to get that compliment.
Wow. Wow. Now, listeners, and I want to tell you this here. If you are listening to this here, and you know, my grandmother used to say it best, listeners, and what Butterfly just stated is powerful because what you don't do, the next person will.
Exactly.
And it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy, Rebecca. As my grandmother would say, it is a crazy frog who doesn't praise his or her own God. So we need to really get that through our thick heads.
It's like, okay, take for example, a man who's been with a woman for 5 or 6 years.
Right.
Did propose, no engagement, nothing, just been with her 5 or 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
They separated, they part. 4 to 5 months later, he finds another woman he's dating, and in 6 months, they're engaged.
Wow.
A year and a half to 2 years later, they're getting married.
Wow.
The woman of 6 years is wondering why. Why? Because she did something
Right.
that you didn't do in those 6 years.
Wow.
With women, I tell men, if you can grasp that a woman is like the ocean,
Oh my.
if you carry your triple A car, and I'm not talking about the triple A for your car
Right. Right.
or home.
Right.
I'm talking triple A affection,
Wow.
appreciation,
Wow.
attention.
Huh.
Those are the 3 things
Wow.
that will seal the deal with the average.
That's powerful.
Whereas with a man, it's ego, you know, stroking his ego and supporting his visions and his dreams.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This is so powerful. This is powerful. Now, I want to ask this next question. Now, how do you manage the pressure to be in relationships when everyone else is coupled up? How do you manage to do that, Juliet?
I don't think I think so much about that.
Okay. But here's the thing, you know, because whether we accept it or not, there is a pressure, especially if you have close friends or even family members. And if you're single and they're married and you're single and not married, you're kind of looked upon as like, hey, Clue, what are you waiting on? What are you waiting on? We're doing all things. We're traveling as couples. We're doing all these things. So how do you deal with that?
I remember working and especially doing your diagnostics, not being married, not being around the holidays, especially.
Right.
You're looked at as you're the one going to pick up the extra hours because you don't have kids and the husband or it's to accommodate or to so I felt pressured a lot into picking up extra hours, into picking up the work for others because they're spending time with their loved ones and family as a single woman. And I felt left out. I'm like, hey, wait a minute. Where's my, where's my party? Where's my vacation? But I have to take that time and that self-care and make it for myself, make that time for myself. So.
Absolutely. And you know what? I can even say that as being a single male, I find myself, what you said, Juliet, wanting to pick up more hours, to be more productive, to make more money. But I will say this here, single but not lonely, because you have to throw that caveat out there because not every single person is lonely. Some of us are single by choice. It is a choice. So how do you deal with that? The stress of that pressure.
I don't feel pressure. In fact, I love to use the word vicarious.
Right.
And that's what I do. I live vicariously through others that are couples.
Right.
And, in their love life and the beauty of it or the down of it and the ups of it. I live through other people. And that's fine with me. That's fine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to change the tides for a moment, and I want to ask this next question, darling, because oftentimes we say, this is just my list, and for women, they may say if he's not tall, dark, and handsome, and make a ton of money, he's not someone that's desirable. So I want to ask this question. What are your non-negotiables when it comes to dating? And include some red flags, some things that you will just not acquiesce to. Now, we talked a lot about the 80-20 rule. And you ladies know what the 80-20 rule is? Okay, I'll explain it. You will never, in my view, find someone who possesses 100% of everything that you are looking for. It will not happen. And the reality is there's an 80-20 rule. If you can get 80% of what you're looking for, then I think you've done a good job. So, people, we need to, as singles, maybe kind of start really being more realistic. And even when we get older, I even know myself when I get older, as we all will get older, we got to start being more realistic. So let's just go back to the question, though. What are some of your non-negotiables? And you can include red flags when dating. What is something you will just not deal with, Juliet?
I'm a monogamous, so I'm not going to deal with multiple partners.
Okay.
Definitely would not want to date someone who is married ever. Not going to do that.
Okay. Absolutely.
Some red flags. I think sometimes it's kind of something I've noticed in the past few years where I think sometimes men are jealous almost of what I'm doing, my art, my career, things like this. If I notice jealousy, that's something that I have to pay attention. Those are red flags.
Okay, so jealousy, and I don't want to cut you off, but I want to say this here. So jealousy in the sense of being overly obsessed with your whereabouts or just genuinely concerned, like, hey, it's
no
7 o'clock, you're not home yet.
No, not jealous over
Where you at?
not jealous over my time, but actually over like what I like to invest into my career, into my own personal life, those things, which I think is really interesting. So I would think, why is a man jealous of my my passions, why would they be wanting to even be concerned with what, I would think they would want to support what my dreams and visions are, not be, envious or jealous of success in a way.
Yeah, that is true. And it's interesting you said that because I know one time, I went to school in Atlanta and oftentimes they would say, that the rule was very successful women would not date equally successful men. I don't know, for whatever reason. It could be professional jealousy, whatever the case may be. But, I don't know what it is, but maybe you ladies can help me. Why is it, I guess, when it comes to dating women, because just kind of going back to what you were saying about the whole thing about the, I guess, not possessive in the sense of controlling, but definitely out of concern. And I think women, when I asked a lot of women in Atlanta at that time, one of the reasons why successful women were more attracted to less successful men is because it was the relationship. And I don't want to dispute the generalization because I know social media will kill me, but it's almost as if you are a successful woman, you would date down because of the requirements. When you're dating equally successful person, there can be a challenge to give up your control. And so is that, I don't know, it's a priority. Okay. So there you have
What's the priority? Like, right? Like, if two people have a big event on the same
Right.
night and they're both maybe presenting, who's going to cancel? You're not going to be together. You're going to be separate.
Okay.
Single going to these events.
So, and that is something that is a problem. So would you not acquiesce to the date, the agenda or the calendar of your husband?
It's a
Or
pressure.
would you expect him to acquiesce to yours? He has to give in to yours, or are you going to give in to his?
Normally, I think it's expected that as a woman, we would
Give in.
give in. Yeah.
So,
I think it has to be a balance.
a balance.
God bless the rest of soul, but I remember watching Music Choice, and they do the liner notes of the artists while their song is playing.
Right.
And Gerald Bird, he said his ideal woman is a woman who can stand on her own and understands the demand of his career.
Oh, wow.
So,
Powerful.
Instance of that situation is if they're about to go out
Mhm.
to dinner and he gets a phone call, hey Gerald, they had an act that canceled out. They need you to come and perform. Will she understand that, he got to hop on that plane and go,
Right.
and, we'll have dinner another time. So everybody's not privy to that.
Right.
You have individuals who meet you how they did,
Mhm.
but then yes, once you become in a relationship,
Mhm.
they change with that. So perfect example, you're in that limelight. So you're always getting hugged. You're always getting kissed on the cheek. You're always getting kissed, and then you have that it's like, why was she hugging you that
Right.
And,
Right.
and you don't need that.
Absolutely.
Or it's like Michael Baisden, he did a segment on his show pretty much about 14 years ago. And the theme was, are you sleeping with a dream thief?
Wow.
And I literally cried. Like I cried listening to a gentleman who had called in, and he shared that, his wife doesn't support anything that he does or any dreams that he has. She's like, oh no, I'm not investing. It didn't work that time. It didn't work. It's never going to work. And I can hear his pain.
Wow.
Like literally, I can hear his pain coming through the speakers. And I started crying because, there are a lot of relationships that, they stop moving and navigating in their purpose for their dream because their mate, doesn't approve of the time, schedule, and the priorities that come with it and so much that it evolves. And so, that plays a big part in, your non-negotiables and red flags. And that's definitely for me because what I do comes. I'm sorry, it's what I love. And I had that. I had that moment where, like I said, I've never really had a relationship with anybody. I was always in situations, and I had to where the person was like, "Babe, I don't like when you come in 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and instantly." But gotta go.
Right.
Red flag, gotta go. Because when you're in the industry and as an entertainer, you have those 1 2 o'clock parties,
absolutely.
because it depends on the vibe, it depends on the event. I mean, in next year will make 23 years that I've been doing, poetry full time type of vibe. But in that time frame, there has been times that I have gone on stage 12 o'clock at night.
Wow.
1 o'clock in the morning. You don't know when a meeting moment is going to come. There was a time that I was leaving from a venue, an event, and it's like 12:30, in the evening, and I'm leaving out, and the guest artist was coming, and when I'm going out, they're like, "Where you going there, mama?" And I'm like, "Nowhere." And I walk back in. So. And another red flag for me is you have to have humor. I'm sorry. If you don't you don't have humor, you have no conversation.
That's right.
Because yes, life is what it is, but if you take it too serious, and I delved down some because someone that I was, kicking it with, and at the time I was early 20s, like early 20s, and they were like, "Rebecca, for you to be as young as you are, you take things too seriously." And I'll be honest, I brushed it off. I was like, whatever. But, as I moved on, I kind of toned down and then I balanced it out. So yeah, that's definitely a red flag. You have to have humor.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. All right. So let's go to the next question. Does the absence Well, before I ask this question, let me say this here. In the early 90s, Dr. Dre wrote a song. It appeared on his critically acclaimed album Chronic that came out in 92. He had a song entitled "We Don't Love Them Hoes." Now, I'm saying this here because I want to, before I ask the question, I want to ask the same or ask this question here. For women, do you all feel or share the same sentiment as Dr. Dre did in the song "We Don't Love Them Hoes," but from a perspective of a woman? Because the next question says, does the absence of a celibate partner seems desirable? And if so, why or why not? Anybody of you can take it. Doesn't matter. Are you guys accepting of a partner with God who got some high miles on? High miles. They've been around the block.
Well, that's okay.
Will Chamberlain.
Oh, Lord. So, hey, go ahead, Julie. Let's get your response on it. What is that a dope killer, or is it something that's less desirable if you have a community on your hand? That's something I do.
Community penis. Community coochie.
I'm not down with the I'm not judging. No, I mean, I think it depends upon my personal connection with the person. It doesn't matter how many people I've been with, but I would maybe, before, maybe some STD tests. Just why not? It's always a good idea. But it wouldn't be a problem. But I am someone who I make it very clear. Like if it's light, if we're just dating, just getting to know each other, that's great. But after a certain period of time, before getting super physical, I would want a commitment, I think. And so a lot of times they're not ready. So and
Right.
that's okay.
Right.
But I don't want to. I personally feel like as a performer, I have to be careful because
Right.
sometimes I'm just seen out having a drink with somebody, and they're like,
Right.
"Oh," and the people see him,
Right.
and they're like,
Right.
"Oh, you're going out with him."
Right. Right.
It's like, no, I'm actually
Right.
not doing
Absolutely.
anything. I'm just having a drink.
Right. Right. Right.
You know?
Right.
I thought there's nothing else going on,
Right.
but because of my profession, because of being in the industry, you get seen all over the place, and I don't necessarily want to be the hoe.
Nobody does. Well, at least if they are, and admit.
Yeah, exactly. Like, not if you're having a good
Right.
time, have a good
Right.
time. Yeah.
And I can agree with you on that because I don't personally, my take on it, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna do like the guy in the Bible that Jesus or the scripture says that he was commissioned to go marry a harlot. She was a known tramp, and he had to go marry her. So, in the grand scheme of things, I guess if I had to say it, a person's past doesn't affect the present, in my view. But hey, if you're out there, they're gonna say, hey, she's like laundry. She's had everybody's sheets.
Yes. You get tired of
Right.
things, and as cliched as it is said, you can't turn a hoe into a housewife. That's not true.
Right.
I've witnessed it. I've seen, women, that were out there,
Mm-hmm.
and now they're cuffed.
Right.
They're married. They've been married 20 years, 15 years, 10 years. They got the domestication thing going on.
Uh-huh.
So it's a matter of those two individuals.
Right. Right.
Opposites attract is real 1,000.
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
I see some couples just in the physical form
Mhm.
that do not complement each other at all.
Absolutely.
And you're
Absolutely.
like, how did she snag him? How did he snag her?
Right.
But then that's just it. When you hear their breakout
Mhm.
story
Right.
and
Right.
the backline and the
Absolutely.
rewind, now you're like, okay, I see why he chose her.
Right.
I see
Right.
why she chose him.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It goes back to the very beginning
Right.
of this whole discussion of where I told you my acronym for love is leaning over on vulnerable emotions.
Wow.
And
Powerful.
most couples
Mhm.
end up together because one was vulnerable at one time
Mhm.
and the other was the savior.
Oh, wow. That's powerful. Well, unfortunately, we are out of time for this discussion. Relationship Singles Edition Part 2. I want to remind you to like and share this video and YouTube channel. And of course, I want you to tune in next week as my sagacious panel, Rebecca Butterfly Vons and Juliet Maisha, as we come back and finish Part 3. Again, this is your Agent of Change signing off. Peace.
I realized that I could use some help with basic everyday tasks, but Hal depends on me, and I'm not going to leave him. I don't have to. Yes, that was good news, wasn't it, Hal?
Immaculate Home Health Care can give you the help you need so you can stay safely and comfortably at home from a few hours a day to round the clock. Call today for your consultation. 561-372-9108. 561-372-9108.